Hey, living self-sufficient is not about doing everything yourself. It's about you being resourceful. It's about you believing in yourself. Living self-sufficient is about having the faith and the knowledge that you can do things yourself if you need to, and that you're not dependent on society for everything. All right? So what got me thinking about this, and why do I want to, share this topic with you today? And well, first, welcome to Goose Pond Hideout, and I'm Rob. And we're here talking about being self-sufficient again. And whenever, of course we talk about this all the time, being self-sufficient, doing, living on the homestead, making things yourself, whatever. And I'll always get a comment about, you can't do everything yourself. It's impossible to be completely self-sufficient. You didn't make that shirt you're wearing. You didn't make this, you didn't do that. And I mean, that's true, but they're missing the point. And I like to think of those kind of people as naysayers. They've just given up. So they're trying to justify that they're caught in the system, that they're stressed out, they don't like their jobs, they don't like where they're living. They're all caught up in that whole 9-to-5 world. And so they just say, oh, you can't be doing all of that, right? I mean, that's what you hear, and I get it all the time. And I mean, I understand. I didn't make the refrigerator that's in our kitchen. I didn't make the freezer that's sitting out on the back porch. I didn't make the chainsaw that I use to, cut our firewood with, and the solar panels that make electricity, and on and on and on. And again, but I like to think that I'm resourceful, that for me being self-sufficient is that I can do a lot of things myself, that I can't do everything. And our ancestors did, right? And my favorite thing to say is, I don't mean I want to go back into time. I don't want to live like people lived 100 years ago. But for example, in the county that we're living in, this county here, they got electricity about 85 years ago. 87, 85, it started in the late 30s. And so before that, people lived with no electricity. You didn't have a refrigerator. You had a cold cellar, and you canned, to put stuff up on the shelves. I mean, I remember going to my grandma and grandpa's. We went all the time. We lived close by. But I mean, she had this pantry in the back, off the back hallway, and it was just jars of food, because she canned. I don't know why they call it canning, because it's in jars, but anyway. And boy, the geese I fed them right before I started chatting with you here, but they want to be vocal today. It's Goose Pond. So, but again, that's the thing is, I'm not saying that you and I should live long ago, that we should wear animal skins. And and that, I just was thinking here that it used to be people made clothes out of feed sacks and that, and then the feed companies started putting patterns on their feed sacks so that people would have more attractive clothes in that. But again, what really got me thinking about this is the good old author that is Ralph Waldo Emerson, right? Good old Emerson. And he never actually says it in his books, I don't think. I think they consider it a quote, a metaphor, but it's that, someone has to make the axe. And, so no matter how self-reliant, that's what the term he used all the time, was being self-reliant. No matter how self-reliant you try to be, there's got to be somebody that can make the axe, right? And so there's got to be somebody that can make the chainsaw. There's got to be somebody that can make the solar panel. And you know, it's just about you believing in yourself and you being comfortable with your abilities that you can resolve an issue. If you get up tomorrow morning and you have no electricity, what are you going to do? And I mean, I just think back over the years when, I mean, I remember heating up water to make my coffee with an like, they're not are they acetylene? The blue bottles with the nozzle on it, and you turn the knob and you know, using one of those to heat up my water so that I could make a pot of coffee. And it's what you could think of it, TV show, but being kind of MacGyver-y, right? Is that you just have this ability. So, you know, don't let the naysayers get you down. And I guarantee you, I'm going to have a comment that somebody's going to say, you know, Rob, you don't know what you're talking about. In today's world, you just can't be self-sufficient. So leave some positive comments, right? I'll lean over to the side here and put my little comment thing. Comment. Make some positive comments so the naysayers don't overwhelm things. I usually just get like one per video, but it's kind of, but that's what, you know, really got me thinking. And it's all scale. You know, I like electricity, I like the internet, you know, but I want to know that if it was shut down tomorrow, that we could survive. You know, with our geese and our chickens and our guinea fowl and gardens and firewood, and now I have an electric chainsaw, so even if gasoline isn't available, I can, you know, charge up the battery for the little electric chainsaw with the solar panels, and hopefully they're good for, you know, 20 years or so, because they're making them a lot better these days. So, you know, those are the kinds of things that I want you to be thinking about, is wherever you are in your life, whatever, I want you to believe in yourself and not let a 9-to-5 job stress you, and not think that you're just, I'm trapped in the system that, you know, has been created over the years, where you go to school and then you get a job and you get a better job and you get debt and you got rent or a mortgage or a car payment and you know, all that stuff, and you're trapped in this life that you're just don't have any choice, and you end up becoming, you know, a zombie. And I used to ride the train into Chicago back in a long time ago. And a friend and I, we rode the commuter train, you know, into the city of Chicago. And we used to stand on the platform, and all the people would gather where they thought the door to the train was going to be. And the train, we used to go, moo, moo. Because all these people, it's like they're just like cattle. And the door opens, and they all file onto the train, and they all sit in their seat, just like cattle going into the barn. You know, they all know their place. They sit in the same seat day after day, month after month, and then they shuffle off the train and, you know, into the Union Station in Chicago and fan out to sit in their little cubicles or whatever for their jobs. And go on, guys. So, well, it's getting kind of noisy here, so hopefully that's something to give you to think about. And believe in yourself and just try to learn a little bit, and knowing that you can take care of yourself if you need to, right? Freedom! Honk, 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 honk.